If there ain't no curve, there ain't no ball. The globe religion about to fall. We're gonna open your eyes so you can see who you're gonna call if you wanna be free. GLOBEBUSTERS! 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 Who you gonna call? Who you gonna call? Who you gonna call? Yeah! GLOBEBUSTERS! GLOBEBUSTERS! GLOBEBUSTERS!
And welcome everybody to GLOBEBUSTERS. We accept the reality of the world with which we're presented. It's as simple as that.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of GLOBEBUSTERS Tech. I'm your host, Zach. Good times for all, and today we're going to be talking about after the eclipse. Yes, the sun still came around again. You know, it didn't get gobbled up by whatever it is up there that's blocking the light. I had never seen so much fear porn ever before an eclipse. It is an
rose in the
election year.
east.
Yeah, it came up right where we were supposed to again.
It
Nothing
set
went.
in the west.
Yep, it was all good. So we're all here. We're all safe again. Everything's all fine. Yeah, that was a weird one. That was so weird how even like mainstream stuff, you know, the states were putting, you know, all these like state warning, you know, emergency, state emergency, and all these different places. For traffic, I guess. I mean, they don't do that around Christmas and Thanksgiving when everybody's traveling and the roads are all backed up and jammed up. I mean, I just don't understand why all the hubbub. But we'll talk about that and more. But first, let's say hello to the panel. We're going to start off with Miss Karen B. Karen, who actually went and saw a full solar eclipse
Indeed.
this Monday. How was it? Was it life-changing?
I don't think it was life-changing, but it was definitely cool. It was definitely worth the trip.
Awesome. Yeah, that's got to be the minimum for me. You know, as long as it's worth the trip, then it's all good. But
Oh, totally worth it.
cool. Yeah, we will get into that a lot more here in the show. But next up, we're going to say hello to Mr. Kyle Adams. Kyle, I know you didn't see much out there in
Yeah,
Utah.
not on my side of the country this time.
No. So, was there anything people acting different at that time, or anything you noticed at all? Like,
Not really, but I've just been watching the aftermath, like around on Facebook and stuff. One person was saying that the eclipse had like these really weird effects on reflections. I'm like, I've never thought about looking at a reflection during a solar eclipse. I always looked at the shadows on the ground and the weird things it has to do with the trees. But all of a sudden you look in like a window or something like that and we look at a reflection. Apparently it has these weird effects on your reflection too. I was like, what? And that just blew my mind.
wow,
So,
I've never heard
yeah.
that one. That's cool.
Yeah.
On the reflections. Wow.
Yeah. And then there's a lot of hype I've been hearing about the moon and about how you don't see the moon approach the sun. All of a sudden, like you don't see anything and all of a sudden it's there. And so that one's been like messing with a lot of people's heads.
Yeah, people have looked for it with all kinds of different cameras. Even the radio telescopes can't spot it, which makes zero sense.
So people are asking, like, is this really the moon that's passing in front of it? Because we're not seeing anything. And then all of a sudden there's something crossing the sun, but where's the moon?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we will definitely get into that and share some ideas. You know, I mean, nobody really knows what it is. Somebody may be right, but they don't know it, right? So
Yeah.
we all have ideas, and, you know, that's what we do. We come together and we share them. I know someone who likes to share her ideas as well. Let's all say hello to Mrs. Cammie Nodell. Cammie, how are you doing? How was your eclipse? I know how it was. I was with you on this eclipse. So, but why don't you let everybody else on the panel or out there know?
My eclipse was spent in complete quietude. Zach did join, but while Karen left, I took care of animal duty at her house and had it pretty much. It was wonderful. It was just hands in the dirt and, you know, with the dogs, walking them and letting them go exactly where they want, because I didn't have somewhere that I had to get on air, or I needed to get the kids up, or I needed to get to the next thing. So it was fun with the animals just to let them meander and play and pay attention to them. And that it's good for the soul. I wanted to know, I know our last eclipse, was it worth it? In 2017, coming up to the eclipse, the big deal was there wasn't going to be another eclipse for 7 years. It wasn't the earth was going to end or any of the doomsday that I remember. It was like, this is your last opportunity for 7 years. And depending on what part of the country you're in, and that, you know, easier and harder. I know for me, it was worth it because we did a 4-day music festival where we went and we set up tents, and it was lovely. They had bathrooms, they had food stands, they had music playing. And it was a music festival, and then the eclipse took off, and we did the eclipse through it, and it was about a 4.5 hour drive. And it was like a fun type of micro vacation. I mean, we met up with other flat earthers that we'd never met before. We met with Bo, for instance, who's done all that wonderful footage, and Satine, some wonderful photographers, and it was exciting. And then when it was over, we spent the night and we drove casually 4.5 hours back. And for sure, it was worth it. It was like one of the best times of my life. Karen, on the other hand, drove over 8 hours, leaving on a Sunday morning.
Mm-hmm.
Watched the eclipse on Monday, left right after the eclipse, and drove that over 8 hours back. When I say that, it was about an 8-hour drive, but you had children in the car, and you need to stop and eat and go to the restroom and stretch your legs and do things. Was it because you were worried about me taking care of the animals? They were missing Ted.
No, it was because my son had to be back for school because he can only miss so many days, you know, and he's trying to get into this early college, high school thing where,
which is fabulous,
you know, really, and he had to be back for an interview. And so, you know, we were trying to do it all, and we managed to do it.
And so. You did it all. And I even felt
Yes.
like for the time I was over there, it felt like so much longer even. It was just wonderful. But the eclipse, we got an 86% eclipse there. So we didn't get the full eclipse. The lights didn't go out. But we got,
it did get a little darker, though.
Yeah, it got a lot darker.
Dim it, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely dimmed it. We
and
got
the birds
some shadow play.
Doing a little bit more singing, it seemed. Like
right
after Maxima, when the sun started on its way back. I mean, the birds are always singing at your house. There was always a few of them out there, but it seemed like more of them started joining in right at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Too early in the year to hear all the bugs and stuff like that. I was hoping to hear a cricket or something like that, but nope.
I thought I distinctly heard like 5 eggs getting laid because that's how noisy your chickens were. And I'm like watching them, I'm out with them, and it's like, oh, there's an egg, there's another egg. I'm counting the eggs, and I don't know, I only got 1 egg, and so I don't know if I scared your chickens because I was in the pen with them, or they just missed Ted, or the eclipse and all the stuff, because you're right, the birds went crazy, the different critters in the forest, they all went really, really crazy, and then they all went really, really, really quiet.
Mm-hmm.
And again, we didn't get the full eclipse, but it was like Zach said, you hear that there's like nothing. Where'd all the commotion go? So, but they did it when it was about at peak for where we were. So they still sensed the meridian of it.
That's funny. They're like, wow.
So because you traveled all night long, and I knew that you had to get ready with your son and everything for school, I wanted to sneak out before you even woke up and just get the chores done in the morning and leave, so you didn't feel like you had to entertain while waking up, while getting ready for things. So I have not talked to Karen since the eclipse. This is the first time I've talked, and I can't wait to hear about it. Not only is it the first time I've talked to her, I've been, for anybody that has noticed at all or been aware, through this past week, I've been as offline as much as possible. Like I have not talked to anybody. I've not responded to messages. I've kind of looked for emergencies, but I really have tried to spend as much time outside and thinking of memories, thinking about where we've come from and where we want to go. And again, what needs to be done. So it's been a real special time for me. I appreciate the time off and time to reflect on memories. But I'm really excited to hear about this eclipse, Karen. So I'm going to mute myself a minute and let Miss Karen talk.
Okay, well, I don't know. What do you want to know? All we did was just drive there and then hung out with Ted's sister and her husband. And then we just hung out during the day waiting for the eclipse to happen. And it was really, I will say though, there was a lot of spraying, it seemed like, going on. There was a lot of planes leaving trails. It was like hardcore. It was like grid pattern. Even the neighbor was like, "Hey, you want to play tic-tac-toe?" Like it was pretty crazy. So that was going on, but the wind, it was pretty breezy. So everything just seemed to blow away. Like it was just a perfect day. It was really like the sky just opened up, because the day before and while we were driving there, we were seeing a lot of clouds, and it was rainy and stuff, but it just seemed to be like opened up for that day for us to see it. It was really awesome. We were able to watch the whole thing. We were able to see it the whole time. We had the eclipse glasses. It was really awesome. We were able to watch. Whoa.
Did I do that?
I don't know.
What happened?
I don't know.
Okay.
Anyway, so it was great. We were just, I had the cameras out. I ended up only using the P900 and the P1000 and the drone. Had the drone in the air during the eclipse. And it was pretty cool because during the eclipse, when it got completely dark, there were some people doing fireworks. So while the eclipse is going on, the drone caught fireworks on the horizon, people popping off, and it was pretty cool. So there's some cool stuff. And then I was trying to use the filters, during and after, but I don't know what it is about the infrared camera, but it is like the filters the camera doesn't care that the filters are there. Now I could take those two filters, Cami, those filters that I took. Well, if I darken it like this, I was able to actually look at the eclipse with just two filters crossed and like look up, and I could see it. Right? I mean, I didn't use that the whole time, but I was like, okay, well, it darks it out enough so me with my naked eye, I can look at the eclipse with these, right? So I was like,
exactly. So why isn't it working on the camera, which
Yeah.
tells you that the camera's got to have some type of filtering in the system that's running some polarization in it internally, probably circular.
well, it's the P1000 that was doing that, the one
Right.
and it's set for infrared, right? Like it's letting
Right.
all the light in, I guess, or I don't know what it is, but it was like the filter wasn't even there. All it did was
There's
make it turn a
almost-
purple,
What
but it
about with the
wouldn't-
P900 without the infrared? Could you get it to work on that one, or you didn't try because you had the solar filter? Because
Well, I
I
had the
wonder if these
solar
have
filter,
got.
yeah.
I'm wondering if these particular cameras have something built into them. I don't know.
I don't know. Well, yeah, I didn't have very long, so I don't know.
But
if
you
I-
were able to do it with you, because that's what I told you is like you left me eclipse glasses, and Zach brought over welder glasses, which were going crazy. I guess I was getting a little bit of a side view of that. So they were making it seem like there was all kinds of sun flares in that.
Yeah, it was one of those automatic welder's masks that you can look
Mhm.
through normally, but as soon as it gets bright enough, it dims everything out. They're pretty neat.
So
But
I was
yeah,
like,
if you're not looking directly at it and you have it at too much of an angle, it might, block that light,
Mhm.
and so it'll start flickering at you and flashing. That's probably what she was seeing.
right. So it's like at first I was like, wow, did I just see like total solar flares, total this and that? But no, it was a function of the solar or of the welding glasses. And I switched back to the eclipse one. I did notice, and I wasn't the only one that said this. It was just Jana that said it. They were also doing an eclipse party, and they had welding glasses and they had eclipse glasses, and she was like, it was amazing how different it was looking between the two of those, how different everything looked. And I have to agree with that.
Now look at this. This is Run Boston Bears video. That's the thing about these cameras. I'm sure on the camera, on the SD card, he got it all. But if you put your finger or anything right in front of, there's a little sensor on this eyepiece.
Of the viewfinder.
Yeah, the viewfinder. So as soon as you put something in front of the viewfinder, it turns it on. It won't have the viewfinder on in the camera all the time because it's a digital lens screen in there. You don't want to be wasting that battery. So as soon as you put your eye up to it, it'll turn on. Well, look at what happens when he's on his live stream right here. This is just the worst luck. I mean, he still got some great shots, and I'm sure the video is beautiful. But right at this time, right here. Oh no! Right as it was happening.
Oh, well, he still got it. It was
Yeah,
just
he
for a
still
little
got
second.
it. It was just for the live. No, that looks amazing, doesn't it?
That's cool.
Wow.
Oh, he had clouds, but he could still see it. Awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, it didn't look like he had a filter on there either.
Well, you got to take the filter off during totality,
or else
you won't see it.
Yeah.
It goes
Wow,
away.
That's amazing.
I had my daughter in charge of the P900, which had the solar filter on it, and I told her, I was like, look, as soon as it goes total, you got to take that filter off or you're not going to see it. And you can hear her talking, and she's like, looks at the camera, she's like, oh, shoot, where'd it go? And then she's like, unscrews it, and she's like, oh, there it is. Oh, it's so cute. But she did a really good job, because I was like, somebody's got to help me out, because there's too many things to do at once for one person.
I was wondering how you're going to do that. That is awesome.
Now that's a cool family outing right there. They're going to remember that for the rest of their lives right there.
And you can hear them in the background going, that's so cool. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, it was fun.
And they're in a fun age for a road trip too. They're not too old or too young at that age. In a way, I mean, Robert's getting over there, but you get too young and it's, screaming and this and that. It's hard to sit still. Yeah, they're older.
The last time we had the eclipse, I took them with me, but they were so young, so that's 2017. So Carrie-On was 5 and Robert was 7. So 5 and 7, they didn't really remember it. So I'm like, okay, well, now you get a chance to go and watch one and you're going to remember it now, both of you, because they're old enough, And they had a blast. They loved it.
That's Robert and Jaron were the same age. Jaron was 14 and is turning 21 now. So he remembers it well. He actually went back and watched the footage of the other eclipse during this one and then kind of looked up at the sky here a little bit, but he was like reliving that one, and not being in totality is definitely different.
Caught a little solar flare here.
Yeah. Yeah, you could see some prominences. I caught some video of the prominences with the P1000. I tried to zoom in on it a little bit and see it. It was pretty cool. It was really cool. To me, I was trying to think, I'm like, why is this one so much cooler than the last one? Like, the last one was cool too, but this one, the sun and everything, like, it was closer. It was bigger. The last time it happened in August. So there's like, I feel like it was like a higher altitude. It wasn't so big and so close. Like when you saw the black hole sun, like to me, like when I was looking at it, when I was like, oh my God, it's like right there. It just seemed so much closer.
And it would be closer if you look at where you are and where
it lasted longer, right? Which,
right.
It was a trip. It was fun.
Now, I don't know if you've heard, I have been completely offline. I haven't heard if anybody got the second sun, if Crow, or if anybody, part of me was
I haven't seen an email
thinking that I haven't seen anything, and that nobody has contacted me and said, oh, I saw this and has been excited about it. So that's
he's not put it out yet.
Right.
Yeah, I'm real excited to see what anybody with the hydrogen alpha filter might have caught.
Yeah.
I've been hearing more people saying that they really want to get one. Which, yeah, if you can afford it, that's awesome.
Yeah, they're very expensive.
Yeah.
And it's not that it's like I want somebody that can run it and knows what they're doing with it along with it. It's like I want that skill with it and that
I just want
like in the
up
things
there every day.
the big I like microscopes a lot better than telescopes. It's funny. I'm just it's a lot easier and more comfortable for me to zoom into something tiny than like take the big equipment. The big P1000 was a joke with me trying to take pictures, and I mean that camera is like weighs more than I do almost. And the telescope that we had was an 11-inch Meade, which is quite the took 3 people to minimum 3 big guys to move. Yep.
Yeah, that's some. Oh wow, look at that. That's beautiful. Nope, never have I ever seen anything like that. Man. All right, so what do you think it is going on? That looks real dark. Just real dark.
Yeah, that's like what makes me feel like it's so close, because anything you put in front of the sun that's backlit by the sun, because the sun is so bright, it just becomes a silhouette, right? Like that's just, it doesn't matter what it is. If the sun's behind it, it just becomes a silhouette. But because it's like, it just looks so close because it's so like round, and it's like, you're not getting that fuzzy effect. Like somebody was sharing a picture comparing, a plane flying in front of the sun, and the body of the plane in front of the sun was all fuzzy, and then the outside of the plane was sharp. And I'm like, wow, it's kind of interesting how, it just looks like whatever the object is, it's so close. You'd feel like if it was far away, then it would be fuzzy, right? Like I feel like
Atmospheric diffusion, right?
yeah, right? Like it would have that fuzzy effect, kind of the way that like the planets look. They're far away and they kind of look fuzzy all the time. Even a telescope, even when you have a nice telescope, like they have to get those stacked images and they have to alter it to get it to look nice and sharp, right? So it's interesting. It's just really interesting the way that light works um in in our atmosphere, and when things get really high up there, and it's different. It really becomes like, makes me have more questions. What is the moon? What is it?
Well, especially when I that one video, I forget who put it out, but when they had the tennis ball, like right here at eye level, and then another tennis ball far away, and of course the far away one looked a lot smaller.
Mm-hmm.
And then all they didn't move, any distance this way to or fro. They just went straight up real high, and they looked down and both the balls look the exact same distance, even though this one is closer to you because it's right here, right? It's right
Mm-hmm.
beneath you, and that one's 6-10 feet away, whatever. From that far away vantage point, they look the exact same size.
Yeah.
So it's like, what are we looking at? What size are these things? It's so hard to
Yeah.
even
Yeah.
make a guess.
Yeah, it's kind of trippy, right? And then you have like the different types of eclipses, like the annular eclipse where there's the ring outside. So whatever is blocking the sun, it never blocks it completely. There's a ring outside of it, right? Like they're not the same optical size during those eclipses. And this one, whatever was blocking the sun is actually bigger. It's optically bigger than the sun. If you watch the little animations and stuff they have for it. And it was a longer eclipse too. It lasted a longer time, which also makes sense if you have, if the object is optically bigger and it's blocking the light, then it would make sense that the eclipse would be even longer, and it was. So it's very fascinating fascinating.
I had heard the shadow was going to be a certain size, and then they said it was going to be smaller after that. That they were wrong. I think. Did I hear that correctly? Did any of you hear that?
Yeah, when I first was planning to go to where I went for the eclipse in Indiana, it was shorter. Like the eclipse time was shorter. It was like a little over 2.5 minutes. And I was like, well, that's cool because that's how long it was the last time I saw an eclipse, and I was right in the center of the path, right? So I knew I was going to be outside the center, and I wasn't going to get the longest time possible, but it was long enough, right? And it was totality, so I was like, that's cool. So then when we get there, find out, or like while we're driving there, that the calculations changed, and I was like, oh, what does that mean? I was like, I hope it doesn't get shorter. Well, it didn't. It got longer. So the eclipse ended up being a little over 3 minutes for us instead of 2.5. And I was like,
Wow.
sweet.
That's and it doesn't seem like it's that long of a time when it goes from 2.5 to, over 3. But when you think about it and you break down 2.5 minutes into, that amount of time, 30, 40 seconds or whatever, you only get a few of those.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like 25% added time. That's a long time to be off by.
Yeah.
What's going on in the camera here? Because we're seeing like these like weird half crescent things. Like there's the one right here, but then there's another one.
Yeah, I'm seeing
There's a
mirrored
reflection.
ones.
There's
Yeah.
a reflection of his phone in the background. His phone is
Okay.
reflecting in the screen of the camera, and the little crescent
If
smiley
you rewind
face
a little bit, but yeah, we can kind
is
of
the
see that.
actual eclipse.
Yeah, there's
So
this
that is a reflection.
mirrored crescent. Yeah, right there. That's weird.
Oh wait, no, I don't know what that is. I don't know what's going on there. It could be depending on what kind of lens he's got. I don't know if he's got something on his lens
It's
or
moving
what.
around a little bit because it was a little closer. It was like inside the other eclipse.
Oh, look at that. That's cool.
Yeah, that's real cool. That looks like it should be a logo of some sort, doesn't it? Wow.
Yeah, it's just like what's causing that? And that's
I don't know. I wonder, is Run Boston Bear in the chat?
because it doesn't look like it's reflecting off of anything.
Does he talk about what kind of filter he has on there? Does he have anything besides the solar filter?
I'm not sure. I know it was zoomed out really far at one time.
Yeah, but
and can you put a filter on it when it's zoomed out like that?
oh yeah, I use the you have to use the solar filter when you're recording like that.
Yeah,
There's
right
at least a
there.
solar filter on it. I'm
you
just
can see it
wondering if he's
moving
got
around.
something else.
It was like inside the.
Let's see if he shows it.
It is moving around, so it does look like it's a reflection right there because it's moving around a lot.
Yeah, that's got to be some sort of a reflection. That's
Off of
interesting,
what?
though.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's real interesting.
Yeah, it makes me wonder what kind of filters he's got on the end of the camera.
Mm-hmm. Wild. Just wild.
Yeah.
And Kyle, this picture that you shared with me is crazy.
You're seeing
Are
it
you
now.
saying it doesn't look like this all the time through these windows? Like this isn't like a double pane something or other that is always doing this?
I didn't make the meme. I just kind of saw it around and I was like, what is going on there? And yeah, that was the big accusation is, oh, well, it's probably like a double pane glass or something like that. But I don't know.
I don't know if I've ever seen something like that in double pane glass.
Yeah.
And they said this was happening during the eclipse?
Yeah, this is a weird reflection happening during the eclipse.
Wow. That's
yeah,
wild.
Like, I never looked at that stuff. I always look at all the shadows, but yeah.
I need to see a picture when it's not the eclipse.
Yeah.
I need to see the same thing when it's not the eclipse.
If I was there in person, man. If I was there in person, I'd be getting that. But
Richard B in chat says he believes it was just a solar filter that JT used.
Oh, okay. A glass ND.
Thank you, Richard. Oh, and thank you for the gift and 5 memberships.
Cheers,
Much
Richard.
love, brother. Much appreciated.
ND16 100,000
Hmm?
glass. I Am Ion's cat is saying that he asked Run Boston Bear about the filter.
ND16
ND16
100K filter? Huh.
glass. I mean, if it's glass, it could be that could be causing an inverted reflection with with the solar filter, unless that is a solar filter. I'm not really sure.
Justin Johnson in chat thinks it isn't the moon. It's a dark body, in his opinion.
Well, we don't see
Yeah.
it. We don't see what it is, so.
Yeah, it's real interesting that without the light there, that the radio telescopes can't pick up the moon. That's weird.
Hmm.
And I didn't
That
see
is
anybody
weird.
claiming that they got the whatchamacallit this year. It's like the holy grail of taking pictures where you get the earth shine.
Oh, I saw one that somebody was sharing that somebody said they made. The guy was sharing it, saying that he was planning for 6 years for the photo, and he apparently, I can find it if you want to look at it. Said he, it looks like one of those pictures that you see. I mean, it is a stacked image. It's not just one picture. And
Yeah, I'm
it
always.
is processed. So, I'm not a fan of stuff that's so processed like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I also don't try to take pictures like that, and I don't know what's involved, and
Yeah,
maybe it
nor
is,
I.
I don't know. And I don't know what the moon is. Everybody says it's not the moon, it's not the moon. Well, you don't see the moon, but it's during the new moon phase, and nobody ever sees the new moon during the new moon phase. And I don't really know what the moon is. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is made out of, how it is up there, what it, I don't really know what's going on up there. And everybody's got their own ideas, but at the end of the day, none of us really know, you know. So,
I was thinking about, okay, the new moon, at least we will know where it's supposed to be, right? We can get the coordinates in the sky.
yeah.
So when it occults a star, shouldn't we be able to see the new moon, like
Well, here's the thing,
disappear a star
the new moon is always out during the
during
day.
the day? Yeah, that's what I was.
Just
Oh, I just.
like, see, I was asking that question too. And just like the full moon is always out at night, a full moon will always rise at sunset and it will set at sunrise, right?
Mhm.
Always. It could be out in the day for a little bit, but it goes away real quick. Well, it's the opposite for the new moon. The new moon is always out during the daytime. Always. So it's the right time, it's where it should be.
Can you see stars during the daytime though? I've heard that too. Like if you have
I don't see stars during the daytime. I will see like planets, bright planets at twilight, but
like a deep well, if you get way or like a mine shaft, the miners have said that while coming up the mine shaft on the lift, they'll be looking up at the hole and they'll see stars, little white dots right above the shaft because the shaft is blocking out all the other light from everywhere. Now, I don't know if that's true or not.
I
I've
don't
looked
know.
for images and I've never seen any. It's
Yeah,
like,
that's
well,
weird. I don't know.
Seeing
if it,
stars during the day when coming out of a mine shaft?
I
yeah,
don't
when
know
you're
about
deep
that.
down in the mine shaft, it's like having a telescope, blocking out all the light from everywhere, a real long telescope.
I don't see why the sky would suddenly become discharged from being down deep in a in a thing, because I'm thinking about daylight and about how the gases in the atmosphere, when they are ionized, they glow, right? And so I don't know how being in a mine would negate that glow that is preventing you from seeing the stars behind them, because it gets too filtered out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I would have to see that effect. I'm having trouble imagining that happening, that working in my mind, but I don't know. But I don't know though, light does weird things. Sometimes
Yeah.
light does things that you don't think it's gonna, like, it doesn't behave the way you think it will.
It says with a small telescope you can see stars in daylight, but that's from DP Review. I don't even know what that is. I'm just asking, can
There's like the
stars...
morning stars, maybe like early in the morning.
It says
Maybe
Sirius is the easiest to be seen
that's the brightest
by
star in the
daylight.
sky.
Yeah.
That's the brightest star. Well, maybe if you're at like a high altitude. I don't know.
Yeah, it says the sky needs to be very clear with the observer at a high altitude, the star passing overhead, and the sun low on the horizon. So, yeah, seeing it midday isn't gonna... That's when... I mean, the new moon has got to be somewhat close to the sun. So, yeah, I don't think that's a possible test.
Okay, as far as the moon always, I'm gonna present a little bit.
Okay.
If I can. Let's see if we can find this.
I will pause this one. Yeah, big shout out to Run Boston Bear. Thank you so much, brother. Out there sharing it live. Yeah, I was telling somebody that I've got to see, 3 eclipses now in my life. And they're like, wow, that's crazy. You must live in some magical place because I've only seen one. It's like, well, I'm 45 and I've moved like 600 miles from where I used to live. But even from Indiana, I would have seen both of them. I probably would have even seen more of it this time. They both went through Indiana a little bit.
Yeah, or right by there.
Yeah, the southern tip right there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Are you sharing? Okay, here you go. It's
Okay, I am sharing. It's all me. We're going to do this, and then we're going to come back to it. Moon phases in time, and it tells you where they are on the circle. And maybe I should pull the circle up too in the side of it. Let's see if we can.
Yeah, Alan Korzep over on Rockfin said he took pics of both the moon and sun last week and the weekend. They are not matching up.
Nice. Because
Very cool.
we do think that they do change altitude, and they do change their angular size just a little bit over time in the sky. They have to account for their tilt and their season somehow in the heliocentric model, so it'll be like 3 million miles farther. And 3,000, whatever, however many miles closer with the tilt and the blah bitty blah. That's their version of it, but really they're just on their elliptical orbits over the Earth, and they are not 100% level. They go up and down in altitude a little bit, I think it would seem.
Wow.
Okay, on the screen, do you have moon phases over a flat Earth, or do you still have the other? Did you switch screens with me or no?
No, I only have one screen.
It says
share from you.
moon phase rise and set times.
Okay.
You have to stop sharing that one and share again. I don't know.
It won't let me switch back and forth on them, or
No. You have to stop and restart it.
Unless you share your screen, then you can just click around.
Yeah, if you share your screen, then you can just do whatever you want. But if you share like
that's what I want to do, is share my screen, and so
it's over to the right, entire window.
Entire screen. Okay.
Yeah. You got it.
Okay, so let's try this again, because we're not outside. We're definitely on the laptop, and so it's a little bit there. But if we go over, Karen, if you remember this, we did this years ago before the last one. And what this picture is for people that are not familiar with it, it's taken from mainstream science. Anybody can Google and get the picture that we did, not added in with the they showed the full moon and the new moon on it, but we added in the cycles on it. But what it is it's lunar nodes. It's how they look at the sky. And if you go back in time and look and see how people look at the sky, including now, they'll say this is in the cycle, this is where the sun appears closer to Earth than the moon, and this is where the moon appears closer, and this is where it crosses over. They showed their nodes here. This is the only thing I've changed, is where they pinched the nodes here, because on a heliocentric model with us in the middle where it would cross over is where these two went. But if you were looking at it from underneath it, you would cricket or change your cardinalist to cricket, change it by a quarter turn, which I did, and it turned our nodes into here. So if we looked at the sky the way we observe it, your cycles would go as such. If you were in Australia and the sun, it was noon overhead and there was a new moon, the moon and the sun are both in time over your head. And it's now noon here and it's a new moon. The moon, every time it's within 3 days of the sun, when you're watching in here, that's where the lights go out and we don't see it anymore. So we never see it when it's a new moon, but we do see it as it approaches and as it falls back. So you have basically the sun going around for each time that the sun goes around. So our sun goes around and it goes around from east to west in 24 hours. What happens is in that same amount of time, the moon has gone around, but not quite as fast. So it's fallen back a little bit.
What is it, about 48 minutes? Something like that?
Yeah,
Something like that.
50-ish minutes.
50-ish minutes. I don't remember. I've memorized so many numbers that they've all dropped out of my head, but it's just slightly. It's 50-some minutes. So what you'll have is every day this happens and it drops back a little bit more. So when it's getting close to the sun, that's when we lose it as a new moon. But as it drops back every 3 days, here's like at 3 days, it's now a waxing crescent. If you were to add the way they see is this tilt to it, and I've actually demonstrated this with balls and flashlights or fluorescent lights. If you do reflections and put these on the same level and look at it from underneath, you'll see that it will create its phases itself by just, if you gave the moon a ball shape on here as it was underneath it, you say it gets close to underneath it, and because we were employing different properties to it where the lights went out, that the temperature, any type of fluorescent lighting, and that does have a Curie point where it would go out if it was within a certain distance of a heat source. So we were employing that and saying as it was falling back, it was getting cooler. And as it was getting cooler, it was rising, putting in the magnetics as we do quantum locking in it. As something gets cooler, the magnetics get stronger. So therefore it would rise. As it rises, it's going to hit the stream of UV. So it's not reflecting, it's absorbing. And when they're on the same level, you're going to have a half moon. A full moon here is 2 weeks into it. Here's 3 weeks, and here's 4 weeks. And it's just based on where it falls back. We know the moon is falling back, and it always does in time. And we watch the moon go to the waning crescent, disappear, and shows up now as a waxing crescent a few days later. And the time of the eclipse is when it was in the new moon mode. Now,
Yeah, Scott Hunter over on Rockfin says he thinks that's what's eclipsing the sun is doing it from behind.
It could be from behind. We can add polarity and add different levels to it and start getting into all kinds of different optic phenomena that work in reality. And it can be. We do know that in reality, we can create moon phases or have them create themselves just by taking what we observe and just applying some known properties to them. But if it did it, we do know that the moon is in there. On this one, it's showing the moon in Vedic and everything. This is where they say in Vedics, they say this is where it goes under the veins of the sun. And this is, again, on the way we observe it when it's coming through it. We observe the sun being higher here and the moon on the path being higher here, and the reverse on the other. Again, these switch over where we'll actually observe, and they'll say, well, this is where the sun appears like it's closer to the earth than the moon, and that should never happen. In time, the full moon and the new moon, again, the moon and where the sun are always on a new moon, and on a new moon they're always close together, and on a full moon they're always completely across from each other. So we do know that the moon has something to do with it, and it's somewhere in the sky, or again, we don't know what it is, and if it's happening, if we're seeing it at an optic level and it's happening like a layer up, works really well. But we do know that the moon, again, is falling back the rabbit in the hare until it catches up and surpasses. And in the time of the eclipse, we know that, again, we see the waning crescent getting smaller. I would say that because I would say in a spirograph pattern, the orbits of the sun and the moon, we know that they're not exactly the same shape, and your eclipses happen where they overlap with your viewing. You know, it's got to be within the optics. It's not that the sun is actually going out, because then if the sun was going out, people 15 minutes outside of, a minute outside of the eclipse thing would, as soon as you don't get the total eclipse, you don't get the total eclipse. That phenomenon would not be, if the light was going out,
Yeah,
that would not happen. Again, this is an angle. Everything is a matter of what angle a viewing angle type of phenomena. And to do that in the
real quick, Cam, big shout out to Justin Johnson, who gifted another 5 GLOBEBUSTER memberships. Thank you so much, brother.
Thank you.
Love.
Oops.
Big supporter of lots of flat earth content creators. So much love, brother.
Right on.
Love the beard too. I think that's the first time I've seen your picture. Did you just add that in recently? That's a beard right there, man. One of these days, once this gets white up here on me, the mustache, I want to grow it out to see how long it'll get. Because I've never done that. It got down to like the middle of my chest, and I was like, okay, this is enough. I can't take this anymore. One of these days.
So a lot of people, I've even proposed that whatever is blocking out the moon could be from, or blocking out the sun could be from behind the sun, but that means it would be above the sun. And do you think that more people would see the solar eclipse if it was above the sun?
Yes, I think everybody would.
You would think that
Great
everybody
point.
would see it, right?
You're right, which
Great
puts
point,
it on a
Chad.
below, again, from the angles of it and the viewing angles. That's been my thing all along. Also with it, the moon not having anything and it disappears. If we do our moon phases in time again and go back to this, your new moon, guess what is following the sun right now? It rises around sunrise. It's highest in the sky around noon. When I say noon on this, and they do afternoon and that, noon means noon before the time changes. That a natural noon would be when the sun is highest in the sky. The sun is highest in the sky around noon, and a new moon is highest in the sky around noon.
Can you go back to that one picture real quick, Cam? That one you just had it on? I was just thinking, now the sun would be blocked out by everybody unless the new moon was well above the sun. You know what I mean? Like
I don't
could see if it was
understand.
right
I don't
next to
understand
the
how the
sun.
moon above it would block out the sun from any angle. To me, it has to be below.
Well, no, like
between where you're viewing and
between the
sun.
sun that we see and its source. So
Okay, well, the
something could
source sun,
pass
I'm putting
in
it at their level.
Okay, let me
Okay.
say this. Something could pass over that, and if it's at a long enough distance, it wouldn't be blocked out by everybody. You know what I mean? Like, it could come in, and people from the side view, if the sun is real close, they would still be seeing the sun. But just where that shadow is passing, and it's weird because it goes the reverse way, right? It goes west to east.
Mm-hmm.
It follows, it follows it perfectly the way it goes on the shadow, because you think that the moon is falling back, so the shadow does do it. You say
Yeah, it's
backwards, but the
correct.
moon is
Well,
falling
yeah,
back.
but I'm saying that's how we would
If you
see
do
it
this
if it was
position
above
and
as well.
yeah,
If it were above as
no,
well, that's how we'd see
no,
it.
because not because you're looking at it from underneath, so I don't see that at all. But
Well,
I could
I
be
think
missing
you
it.
would see opposite
well, if
from
there was,
above.
okay, if there's a light source and then the sun we see, and you put something in between that, it doesn't mean it's going to be blocked out by everybody.
Okay, so you're employing a layer above it on there, and yes, when you employ the layer above it, but then you also have two things happening in the layer above it too.
Yeah, I don't
I
know.
can actually
Yeah,
in a
it's hard
miroscope, if I
to it's hard to imagine.
putting the double parabolic dishes on there where it happens on the opposite, and you employ polarity, you can get most of the effects to do perfectly. But I can't go up and test it. But that's it happening in a mirrored level above it, where it's happening over here, and you would cross it over perfectly. That's a really technical explanation that I don't know if we want to get into, because I was trying to keep it on this layer. But when you add a layer in, just with the optics, I think if I go to talking about optics and talking about properties,
Where are you going now? The miroscope?
I was going to go, we could go to the miroscope. That was showing at a different level, but I was going to see if I could find some of the videos where I was doing the optics of the, again, it's one thing, you can get optics to travel really well. Like when I was doing in the room and I showed it going into all of the, they thought it was right here, maybe here. Let's see if this does it.
Now, what are the difference between the shadows that we get during the eclipse here, like this, a full solar eclipse, and like a Lahaina noon?
Very different.
I didn't see any cool effects with the eclipse and shadows. I was looking for it, but I just didn't. Nothing cool was happening where I was. The tree shadows were just blurry. That was it. I was like, well, this isn't exciting at all. I'm gonna look up again.
Okay, are you looking at the desk and seeing how like these are spinning and it's picking up everywhere? It's very in all of these pieces. Look at how the optics transfer.
Mm-hmm.
As I zoom out, take it apart.
Yeah, that's wild.
There's talking things. So you're just getting, it's very, very, very easy. Do you see those? Those are up there. They're transferring in this ball perfectly.
Yeah, whenever I like picture my model out, I'm always putting the sun and the moon on the other side of the firmament. That's the only way it really makes sense to me. There's a lot of people, oh, well, it's under the firmament, and they're talking about like the sun being in the clouds and stuff. I'm like, well, there might be clouds above the firmament, but I don't know. Yeah, it just doesn't work for me. The whole concept of it being under the firmament.
The firmament, to me, I've looked at the firmament like in different ways through the Bible, through Vedic, through all of the different things. And the one thing they show, all of them show the same levels. We could get into the cosmology, I could go back, but all of them describe like a mirrory, shiny level that's fluid, like a shiny river, crossing the shiny river. Everybody crosses the shiny river. It's called a vault of looking glass. And what I thought was fascinating was when you actually took a vault of looking glass and positioned it, made a vault out of parabolic dishes. Oops. I'm not working local, so I'm not going to be able to see if these pictures will open one by one or not. If anybody has played with something called a miroscope, it's a two mirrored dishes. I could actually go in the other room, get one, and show it easier than I can try to open pictures on the drive. everything you're seeing in here is a mirage. In other words, it's things in the dish that if you put something in between two parabolic mirrors, it creates a hologram. People say I'm using the word hologram wrong. I probably am. It creates a 3D image, but something different about this that works better than a hologram is a hologram is just really a visual image of it. In other words, it's taking your optics and it's making it fractal, and I understand how that's working. But what this is doing is it's taking the object, bouncing the light all at the angles and reproducing the image, but it's doing it via wave function. It's doing it via mirroring it. So the thing about the object that it's mirroring, it doesn't only transfer heat, or I mean, it doesn't only transfer the optic, the illusion itself or what you're looking at. If you put an piece of ice cube in here, the hologram gets cold. If you put something hot in here, the hologram gets hot. If I put something that's fluorescent in the hologram, in the thing, like, again, this is just a little, you're looking at a hologram. And what I'm doing is I'm shining a UV light on the hologram. I'm playing with that object, not what it's in the dish, but I'm playing with just the optical illusion made from it. And it's actually bouncing light off. I put foil in it and about blinded myself with sunlight. But what I'm doing is I'm just running a UV light in a dark room up and down. I have some that, again, as you do the heights, you'll create the moon phases.
And if you do get one of these,
one.
be very careful with shiny things. Don't leave it sitting in the sun. Don't leave it sitting in a window where sunlight comes in, because you're going to destroy it. It's going to, it really focuses that light when you put something in there.
So
this is an old good one. Do you see Zach, look at the integrity of the old good ones. This is my old bigger one I have that you can no longer buy. This dish here that we played with and did the thermometer things with, I did leave a coin, either a dime or a penny in it that we were doing, and the sunlight coming through wound up at the angles, cutting a groove through the top part of it and making the dish that you could see the perfect sun path. It actually cut all the way through. Melted a groove by leaving it in the sunlight. But it's two parabolic dishes, and again, if you put them together, if you look up Miroscope, it's a children's toy, what they call that illusion maker. But that illusion maker comes with properties of creating a three-dimensional hologram that can not only, if you think of what we do with parabolic dishes, you can not only take the wave functions and transfer the heat or the radiation or things like that, but you can augment it and focus it. Again, it's a very, very intelligent design. So if we look again just at that layer as the firmament, as the sun and moon being in the firmament with the wandering stars, you would be getting a mirrored image down that would be reflecting down over us.
But if you're to have them move anywhere, that's like you'd have to move the entire thing, wouldn't you?
What do you mean?
Okay, so in your hologram projector, the Miroscope, your object stays stationary. It doesn't move around all over the place. And so I'm trying to like imagine some kind of like a orbit.
Oh, I put movement. No, I put movement to. I've hung things by strings. If you move the object, the hologram moves. I mean, it all moves together. It moves exactly opposite. It moves catty corner. So like if I have, if my object is here, do you see my finger? My object is here. It's going to visually on the next layer show up here. And as I move it here, it's going to go here. It's going to always be completely across, but it's going to move right with you across from it. The up and down stay, the up and down the same. So even though the left to right changes on it, the up and down thing comes through up and down. That does not reverse.
There's a question in chat for you, Cammie.
And
What's the name of the old Miroscope that you can't buy anymore?
It was called an illusion maker or whatever. I got it from Think Geek, and it was called like a 3D optical illusion maker, or it may have even been called a Miroscope. And people, when I say Miroscope, it's MIRASCOPE is how I find them online the easiest, or a Miroscope. But what they really are is two parabolic dishes. The thing about those parabolic dishes and doing it too is I have several of them. if you'd put two of them with the holes on top and bottom and put something in the middle, the hologram does produce itself above and below. I thought that was fun. Just like a little fun bonus thing. But that's just following some descriptions. And that, do I know what's happening? No, but I do know that the optics, if you did add a layer with those type of qualities, all of a sudden you open up all kinds of possibilities in reality that work in reality and in physics. Do I know it's there? No, but it's there in every single cosmology throughout history and time. They show the first heaven, the firmament, where again the sun and moon is, and then you have your first heaven is where the birds in the air are, the birds in the clouds are. Then your second heaven is where the sun and the moon is, and then your third heaven is again the crown, or in any of the like for instance any other things that you put in Rahu and K2 or elves or that, again, that's where the layer over it, where Rahu and K2 are. So your eclipse would be Rahu eating it, because if you had him over here, it would be eating it itself. Same type of thing.
And we have been joined by Chris.
Hi, Chris.
Van Matre.
Chris, what did you come up with, darling?
Well, I didn't get to go to the total eclipse. They were calling for clouds like 90%. And I could kick myself because I could have went to Dallas and they had good viewing then, but they said it was supposed to be cloudy. But it was like a 7-hour drive, 3.5 hours there, 3.5 hours back. I was like, I don't know if I want to take the chance. And then there was a bunch of rain and tornadoes and hail right after the eclipse. So I was like, yeah, I'm not going to take the chance.
Yeah, don't blame you. How were the views from where you were?
It was completely cloudy here in Houston.
Oh, okay. Well, that
Oh,
stinks.
that's a bummer.
You were saying something about shadows, though.
Yeah. If you want to, I sent you a video and a picture.
All right.
You'll have to go back a little.
Oh, okay, yeah. Is it a picture with the... Oh, wow. Okay.
Kick up the video. Yeah, that one there.
That's crazy looking.
Yeah.
Okay, that kind of mirrors or almost exactly what you get right before the eclipse. I heard Karen saying that you looked for them, but you didn't see them. It usually happens like 4 to 5 minutes before the total eclipse.
Yeah,
That's
I wasn't. I didn't see it.
But
I did get it at your house, Karen, and I got it, and then I went over to grab my camera, and when I came back, I kind of missed the thing, and it wasn't near as distinct as when I had it in your tree apples over by the chicken coop is where I got it.
Oh, that's cool.
But I did
Like
get
a
distinct,
vortex.
and the problem with those is those leaves on there were the shape of them. It wasn't as easy to point out because the shape of the leaves had that little like crescent to it too, though, on the dappling. But you could tell them before and after, where I made a whole bunch of them and added in a bunch of them on the dapples. It was pretty cool.
But you see this right here. One thing that I noticed, and I'm like, that says a lot. The light, these leaves that are close to the LED light that's creating this, you get this pattern. But anything like when I'm walking through there, it's a solid shadow. Or anything that's far away from the source light is a solid shadow.
Oh, so that wasn't doing that with your shadow.
Exactly. So what does that tell you? That the moon has to be close to the sun to create the same effect, or whatever's causing the eclipse has to be close to the source light to cause this effect.
I agree. I mean, I agree. It's
Yeah, that
on a
makes
lot of counts.
sense.
Yeah.
And what is this picture here? This is wild.
Okay, what I did here, you see this flashlight? Now, let me see if I could get it in the camera.
Yeah. Oh,
It's
yeah,
all
with one of
like-
those, kind of like a mirroscope.
Exactly. But if, let me see if I can get it lined up. Now, if you pull,
Parabolic dish. Fabulous
exactly.
thing.
So you've got the bulb here in the camera. So if you put this on it to where if you start manipulating the light and start pulling the light away from it or pulling it into the hole, you get that same effect. That's me using this flashlight, running it in and out with a flower pot, and you can get the same effect.
Wow. That's that little 3/4 guitar right there, isn't it?
Yeah,
Oh, I love that thing.
that's
That
yeah. I
thing
think you
just-
played it when you visited me.
yeah, it just felt so good. It was like perfect size.
So I can't film it, but if you do the same thing against the ceiling, you can almost create the light eclipsing just like the eclipse of the sun. When you get this pulled out far enough to where the light's almost inside, you almost mimic an eclipse.
Oh, wow. Kind of like can you get the ring around it?
You got light around it, but you get the dark, it almost, like I said, it almost looks like the eclipse where the shadow starts moving across the circle of light, and then it comes to a dark spot.
Wow. And that's just by pulling it out.
Yeah, pulling it out of where you got the cone, the further out you get. Okay, so if you go back to the other picture of the shadows on the ground, you also get that same effect with the pinhole camera.
Really?
So when you get this, when you have an eclipse, it gives you the effect of a pinhole camera. Now start thinking about that. And what I just said about pulling this light in and out, the further out that you get, to where you get the light almost completely eclipsed out of the chrome cone, you get like a pinhole effect, like a pinhole camera.
Wow. Yeah, there's so much testing and playing around you can do with this kind of stuff. I remember when we were doing the shadow smaller than the object. Remember that one?
Oh, yeah.
The Fresnel lens. Yeah, you can make an object shadow smaller than the object. Just takes a little bit of help. But it definitely can be done.
Yeah, so I've been thinking about this for like over a year, but these LED lights, basically what they are is you have 4 lights and then one in the center, and they're all grouped together. So you have like multiple lights in the head of the LED light that creates this. But like I said, it's pretty curious that it only does this effect when it's close to the light. If you walk through this or you have a branch or something lower, it just casts a single shadow.
That's wild. Yeah, I got a lot of thinking to do on this.
During the last eclipse before this one, when the penumbra was going all crazy, my kids were having a lot of fun just holding up their hands and like looking at their shadows. Okay, how many fingers do I have? And then all of a sudden, like the numbers would be totally off, and yeah, they're like getting extra fingers and fewer fingers and all kinds of stuff. It's pretty fun to observe.
That's pretty neat. Yeah, I've still never seen one like that. So what happens at Lahaina noon with the shadow when the light source is directly above you, Cami?
Well, when the light source is directly above you on the Lahaina noon, first of all, what you do know is you don't get any shadows, which is very cool. The shadows disappear. And what I did do was I put different kinds of water in different glasses, different crystal glasses, and different types of water, and put them out on the beach. And the water went into swirls of rainbows inside it, like the way it hit the water and then reflected when it was straight up around the edges of like the wine glasses and that, and the edges of the glasses turned into rainbows everywhere. So it was like, again, the glasses filled with rainbows is what happened during the eclipse. It didn't happen, or not during the eclipse, but during the Lahaina noon. It didn't happen everywhere. It happened, that was a optical effect that I was told about and that we set up to do for it. And of course, we set up things and the shadows disappeared completely. So it was just again, having the sun directly overhead with no shadows anywhere. And again, the optics felt like the eclipse. They felt weird and special. They felt very weird and special. They're kind of staticky electricity. And it felt special when it was right overhead. And again, seeing the rainbows in the glasses. And again, it was that type of a moment.
Very cool.
And I have pictures of that somewhere back, a lot of pictures going. And that was hard to capture too, the rainbows of it. But yeah,
So
the
when is
water
the
itself.
next eclipse coming around?
For us,
Yeah,
2045.
2045, so 21 years. I've always heard people say, oh, there's an 18-year cycle, this or that, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah, but the cycle includes the whole Earth. So some of the eclipses will happen where we can't see them.
Mm-hmm.
They're happening all the time over different things and at the
Right.
different angles. But again, it's where you get it. And the cycle means that after, again, the repeat of it. So yeah.
And then the next one after that is like 2052. Or no, August of 2044 and then August of 2045. But one of them is coming down from the north, it looks like, way from the north and heading down. It's going to hit like Montana and North Dakota, it looks like. And then the other one's going to be going through California, Northern California, Nevada, Utah, Colorado, Oklahoma. What is that? Arkansas, Mississippi, Alabama, and Florida. Wow, that's going to be a wild one. It's already crazy enough in Florida.
And the other thing I was thinking about too is how do they explain the way the shadow went?
Well, the way they explain it is because the moon is actually moving west to east. It's just the Earth is spinning so fast that it looks like it's moving east to west.
Well, I mean, this one started down in the south and went clear up to the north.
Oh, that would have to do with the moon's
Angle,
yeah, angle
it's
off
5
the
degrees.
ecliptic. Yeah.
You get to thinking about that, that makes absolutely no sense. But a spinning ball.
It doesn't in a spinning ball, but if you look where the sun is, and again, if you look where things, you go back to that diagram I was showing you earlier and look at where things are and look where you are in the map going to stellarium and see where they are, it makes perfect sense in a flat Earth. In a flat Earth, to see where all of these things and these eclipses go, look at the stellarium where you see the positions of the sun and moon, follow them around, cycle them on Dave's app, and you'll see where they get. His app, you don't get to see them so accurate as stellarium, but follow them, and when they get close together in that new moon cycle, that's where you'll find the angles of the eclipse. It's part of the cycles.
The Potter's Clay has a really good video about the eclipse shadow going in the wrong direction in a whole bunch of different globe models. It's pretty funny.
And it's funny in the globe models, it's wrong, but if you look at where the sun sets, where everything is in position, and again, it falling back and following through, it works out perfect in a flat Earth. I mean, really easy perfect without any manipulation. It's kind of neat. You just
And I
think that
know,
they say in the helio model the moon is going twice as fast as we are and going I mean, they have some kind of wild thing on it to make it work. But if you just observe it, because and they say it's a matter of our optical illusion during the spin, but if you take the optical illusion out of it and say that this moon is just constantly falling back in its rotation, we know how much it takes to rotate. It does it all naturally. It doesn't have
and it
to.
rotates perfect, so you only see that one side the whole time too. That's
Yeah.
just amazing. It
Mhm.
really is. It's
Mhm.
a miracle of nature,
Yeah.
the moon. In the heliocentric model,
Mhm.
a literal miracle. Like,
It's unbelievable. So what
yeah,
it is, it's unfathomable. But common sense, if you look like again at that model I showed you, that's the way that we see the sky and observe it. This is where the sun looks closer. This is where the moon looks closest. This is when they're there. These are where the nodes are. And it's like, oh, look, it all works all by itself without any intervention or anything. It's pretty cool. I have a hard time going to the helio now. It's been too long. So again, everybody is still fighting for why this isn't the helio model, but that ended for me pretty much again after we did the direct measurements and all kinds of experiments where we were doing it. And then pretty soon you say, well, what could it be? You're right, Zach. We can't go out and touch things, and people can have ideas. But with the ideas, you can certainly, instead of replace it with just another story, say ideas of what I'm doing. Does that work with the reality? Does it work with the physics? Does it work, again, with the way that reality works? And as soon as you employ those filters, or is it just as absurd as a spinning water ball flying around? And would the physics have to be changed just as much in reality for that to work? Be careful about needing an exciting news story. Look at what we have up there. It's pretty darn cool. And trying to figure out things we can, but we should, again, keep, we were fooled once really bad, or at least I was. My filters are on strong. I want it to work in reality. I know you don't understand everything and we can't touch everything, but when we're coming up with ideas, I think our ideas should be grounded in
reality.
in
Absolutely.
reality,
Is this
and
even
does it work?
possible? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Big shout out to Lord Racer. 8th month of being a member. Thank you so much. GLOBEBUSTERS unite.
It's huge. Thank you so much. What do people in the chat want to talk about, and what do they like?
They're talking about the ancients being so smart. I know there's a lot of questions of how do they figure out the eclipses, and it's the Sorrow cycle, correct?
The Sorrow cycle, and again, even on the they did it as soon as you start tracking the cycles and do it and moving it with time, you can accurately predict. They've been doing it for a long time. Could I do it? No. Off of my cup, but they collected data for it. It's been known for a long time. It's been known a lot longer, predicting eclipses than they predicted that we weren't, or they predicted that we were on a spinning water ball. The eclipses was reality. They overrode it. But again, that information was already available. And they even tell you on these stories where it's kind of funny that like when Columbus and the people came over, I know that one of the things I was told in an area of South America that the people predicted the eclipse and got everybody to think they were gods on some of the earliest coming over stories of the Europeans. Didn't anybody else hear that one?
Yeah, oh yeah. Somebody was
Yeah.
just telling about Columbus doing that.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was, what's his name though? Who's the one who went around, tried to do all the way around the
Magellan or that?
Magellan.
Yeah, Magellan. Right. I also think it was Magellan, or maybe not him. I'm trying to think of. I feel like if I heard the right one, because I'm thinking of a certain area in South America. I felt it would click, but again, it's been a long, long, long time. So, Chris, the eclipse, you didn't get there. I had the same thing as you, except it was even worse. My sister is in San Antonio, and she had the total eclipse because she was up towards Bernie in the suburbs. So she was in the part that got it, but it was way, way too long of a drive for me to do it. And even Karen's drive, that's a lot of driving for a couple of days. Enjoy
It
it
is a
while
lot
you're
of
young, Karen.
driving.
It's a
Some
lot.
dedication right there.
If
That's
it
some
was
love.
Serious.
longer, I don't think I would have done it. You know, because like everybody was going to New York and they're like, you guys should come to New York. And I'm like, but that's like another
Even
few
further.
hours.
Yeah,
Right.
even further.
Like, I don't want to, I'm sorry. I'm just
I
not.
love you all, but
Yeah. Yeah. It
Chris was
was.
the one that found Toad Fest for us, and that was really good. That was ideal. Our last eclipse one was ideal. Jaren's got such fond memories of it, Chris, and so do I. We'll have it forever, and all of the wonderful photography and shots on it.
Yeah, that was perfect. I remember we woke up that morning and it was all cloudy. We were like, oh no. And then like an hour before, everything cleared up and it was beautiful. Yeah, if they would have gave me 50-50 chance, because I woke up Monday morning and checked the weather again, and they were still calling for cloudy. I looked complete cloudy skies, and I looked at Waco, Dallas, San Antonio, and I was like, they're calling for clouds. So I'm like, I'm not going to take the chance. And again, there was, they had some big storms roll in after that with baseball, golf ball size hail. So I'd have been driving through that coming back home.
real quick, big shout out to Murray Cole over on Rockfin with a $20 super chat. Another interesting episode. I didn't get a chance to see the eclipse, so I'm grateful for this episode. Well, we are always grateful for you, Murray. Thank you
Cool.
so much, friend. Big supporter of the channel. Always hanging out. Much love. Yeah, this is from Run Boston Bear. It's a long video, hour and 10 minutes. Got some really great shots of the eclipse. Just some beautiful stuff.
That's
So
cool.
yeah,
Where was he?
I think he was in up there near Boston. I think they had, were they in it? I'm not sure.
No, because it went up like towards upstate New York. So he would have had to go somewhere,
Yeah,
I think, to get 100%.
yeah, let me see.
I can hear the rain beating down on my roof.
Yeah, it was raining hard here a few hours ago.
Yeah, it's been pouring here.
So it wasn't in the path of totality. It doesn't tell me how much of an eclipse it was. England won't be for another.
Russell
Okay.
Gregory, if anyone could think about why sun plasma discharges were on the left in Melodome's video, but not in Boston Bear's video.
He's in Texas there.
But on the bottom right in Run Boston Bear's video, it depends where he's viewing the eclipse from.
Which way you're facing it. Like if you're looking to the north, and then the eclipse goes over, now you're facing south, that's a 180-degree change with your camera right there. So that's going to change the whole positioning of the sun right there, 180 degrees. That took me forever. Chris helped teach me about that. The rotation. I was freaking out because the sun, they weren't moving across like this, like you would think they would, the sunspots. They
Right, no,
actually
they went in a
rotate.
spiral.
Yeah, and I was like, oh my God, what's going on?
Yeah, field rotation.
Yeah, and the whole perspective thing about it. I mean, if it were a flat pizza tray above us and you're looking at it and it does a big arcing loop over you and you're not in the center of its radius, you're offset from the center, it's going to look different from different positions.
Yep.
Only if you're in the direct center will it always look the same. So like from the North Pole, for instance,
Right.
they say that the moon doesn't change. It just goes around like this constantly. And it fluctuates very, very tiny.
Huh. That's
But yeah,
so
it doesn't,
interesting.
its face doesn't wagon wheel. And the further you get from it, the more it wagon wheels up to 180 degrees. when
That
it's right over
totally
your head.
makes sense on a level stationary Earth too,
It
by the
does.
way.
Yeah.
It does.
Totally makes sense.
And I've got video twice where the sun did a reverse wagon wheel for the first hour of the day and then reversed and did its wagon wheel across the sky. And the moon does that. The first full moon of November does the same thing. It'll do a reverse wagon wheel like an hour after it comes up, and then it'll reverse and go the other direction.
Yeah, that's when it's real high in the north, right?
The moon
Yeah.
in November, it's right. You got to wait like an hour and 30 minutes after the first full moon in November, and then it'll do it for probably 5 or 10 minutes, and then it'll actually go into the actual wagon wheel the other way.
Yeah, I remember I caught some of the sun doing that when it was real far to the north. I think it was like in June or something like that. It threw me off because the wagon wheel started going backwards at first. And you can even see if it were a pizza tray, it would do that for a certain time until it hits that certain spot, and then it starts. Yeah, it blew my mind. Nick Phuket Word, he put out a video talking about the wagon wheel, and if you had a pizza tray and it was just moving around you, that it would do that. And that's when I started testing that with the old ceiling fan and a
Mm-hmm.
cardboard pizza tray, and I think I put an arrow on the back of it and like tied it down to the fan to make it a little bit further out so you could see the effect happen more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Bo was the one that told me about the moon
Mm-hmm.
in November. And this November, I'm going to try, and every November, I'm like, damn, I missed it. But with stuff like that, it's like you wait a whole year, you might go out and it'll be cloudy that night.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's how it is. Like with the eclipse, it's the chance you take. Like I was like, you know, I didn't know if I was going to drive all that way and be able to see anything, or if the weather was going to turn, you know. But we were just like, well, we got to try. But it was also worth it though, because we went. It was Ted's sister, and she lived in the path of totality. So Ted got to visit with his sister and stuff. So it was cool. It was like a
That'd
2 for
really
1.
suck. You get out, you travel all the way across the country, and all of a sudden it's overcast. Sorry, I can't see
Yeah,
anything.
yeah,
That
but it
would
wasn't. It
really
was
suck.
perfect. It was perfectly clear, except
Yeah.
for the tic-tac-toe marks. But it wasn't. It didn't stick. None of it stuck, and none of it blocked our view. So it was all good.
Yeah. The footage with the clouds in front of the eclipse actually made it look really cool. I like the flame effect that it
It
caused.
is kind of cool. Yeah. He looks. He's at a park somewhere. Yeah.
Now, how did your footage turn out, Karen? And like, when do you think you'll?
Oh yeah,
Are
I
you-
haven't. I know I haven't finished editing it yet. I mean, I can show you guys stuff if you want. You know what? It really is perplexing me. Why didn't the P1000? Why the infrared P1000 is not affected by the filters at all? At all. It bothers me because I could take those filters and I could block the light out and with my own naked eye, and then look up at the eclipse, and I could see the partially blocked disk of the sun with just these and my eyeballs. So
And add a circular polarized filter into the mechanics of it and add it up to there, and now you're going to see through it too much, Karen. I mean, that's what, because you're doing it
but
with
I
your
was
eye.
trying
I do
one
know that.
filter. I tried one
You tried
filter. I
two
mean, I only
filters.
had 2.
But if I know, but if it's circular polarized, you're not gonna be able to get it to. That's going to make it so you can't phase it out. That's the whole purpose of circular polarity, is meaning that you can't phase it out, but get like the clarity of it. So all you have to do is put something of circular polarity in there, and you're not going to be able to. I know that with my camera, I don't know if it was on my camera too, but I tried to use my phone camera and a couple of the filters in front of it the solar one and a couple of the Polaroids, and I was not able to get a good angle up against the phone and to do it and hold well. So I was not very successful at all on any of my photography attempts on it. But what you're saying is the P1000 has got to have circular polarity built into it. If you can't get it to react to any filters whatsoever, that's the only, or not a strong reaction on it.
Big shout out to Lord Racer.
And that I don't like, that people build in things that, again, you don't know that are there. It does make it easier to get a distance shot and you get more clarity from it. But again,
I'll have to
I like
play with
adding my
that part.
filters. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was really kind of a trip. So I really only have footage that is during totality that is really worth that's good from the P1000.
You have that one converted over to infrared?
Yeah, it's Bob and Cammy's. So it's Cammy's P1000.
It was donated to us by Teeth of the Lamb, and he did it thinking that we would be able to use it more. The camera is so big for me, and it was unfortunate because you've been over to the house, Chris. I do not have good skies. In other words, in Colorado, I could see for miles and miles, and here I'm down in a valley. And so to open up on the skies and get some type of things on it, it's not an easy place to be for, I'm in a valley with trees.
Yeah, me, I've got complete canopy, front yard and backyard.
Front yard, I get a little bit, but I don't really want to hang out in the front yard. You pretty much have to be in the street. You saw that you have to literally be in the street, and for doing that and playing with the big cameras, it's a lot.
Oh, that's a cool picture. That's what the P1000
nice.
read.
Yeah, and you'll see me mess it. It's changing color because I'm putting filters in front of it, and that's also why it's not so like steady in the center, because I'm like I mean, I did not take the best video during this eclipse, but it was, I was
It's
more
so
about trying
hard
to
when
do
you're
different
trying to
things.
do stuff.
Yeah.
And you're trying to enjoy
wow,
it too.
look at that big flare
So,
right there. That's
yeah.
a big one. Wow. And doesn't the light just look different with that filter on it?
Yeah.
Like the ends of the light, you can I don't know, it just looks different.
Yeah, you can see. Yeah, it does look different. I mean, I have the P900 footage too, and in the P900 you cannot see the flare at all. But you can see it with the P1000.
Do you have video or pictures before the eclipse in the P1000?
Wow. There's the diamond ring. Wow.
Yeah, it's starting to come out. Well, it just, like I said, none of the filters that I had for the P1000 were solar filters. They were all UV infrared filters. So like this is what it looks like normally, right? When the light starts coming back out, it's like everything's pink and purple. It's a really weird looking light. But what was I gonna say? What was the question again?
If you
the light looks different. It does look different. And so none of the filters were solar filters. So I could never get enough of the light blocked out to get up close with the P1000 when it was partial, like before and after totality, because it was just too bright.
Whoa.
So let me see if I have another.
Those filters are definitely doing something.
Yeah, and the reason I ask is because I was going to have you play with the lighting and the exposure, if you had any of those, and maybe you could bring up whatever or clear a picture of what blocks the sun.
Yeah, I couldn't see. So right here, you can see me bring in the different filters, and the sun in this video is partially eclipsed. but it's just so bright, and I couldn't do anything to filter out enough
NASA,
light.
yeah.
Yeah.
That looks a lot like my video. That does look a lot like my video. I could share mine too, and I've got something real similar to that. That it's like, oh no, that's just a mess.
Yeah.
But you might play with the exposure and lighting on some of this, where you got the full eclipse.
Yeah, I thought I saw some weird shadow up to the right when you backed up one of the times. It was weird.
On this video.
Yeah, maybe when it was purple.
So, oh, you can see right there a plane flies through.
Yeah, I just saw that. That's wild.
Boom.
Wow. Right there. What's that to the right? Oh, that looks like a lens flare. Okay. Yeah, it's moving.
Oh, talking about that earlier in the video you were watching where you seen that other crescent in the video, you get that because when you have two glass filters and they're separated just barely, you get that effect. It's like a mirror effect. When
Yeah.
we went to the first eclipse, I had a solar filter like that, and it kind of irritated me because that come up in some of the videos and pictures.
See, like right here, it goes off to the side because I walked away from the camera because I was like, oh, I need the filters. So like I walked away and then I came back and then you'll see it like start changing color and stuff. And that's me just trying to put the different filters in front of it just to see what it does. So see there it turns purple, and that's like from when it turns purple, for me looking through the filter, they're like this, right? It's like completely not see-through, but it was like purple through the infrared for
Are
whatever.
the filters you're doing there, are these Polaroid filters that are changing the colors by changing the angle, or are they different filters?
These are the filters that you gave me to bring.
Oh, so polarity is giving you the color changes. That's
Yeah.
fabulous. That's
Yeah.
fabulous. So this is all she's doing when she's spinning it. Is people should really think about what she's doing that are changing the colors. Is each one is just looking at one angle of light coming in. So every time she's spinning it, you're getting a different
So is that
angle of
kind of
light.
like blue
and you're picking
shift,
up the
red
different
shift at
colors.
all?
Different angles of light. I don't know. You could shift things magnetically, seeing the shift of it. Not really. It's seeing it just through different angles.
Okay. That's wild.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, those sun rays are just, look at that. Like that right there, I could have a picture on my wall of you zoomed in, even of it, just knowing what it is.
Yeah, that's what I like about my hydrogen alpha. I can take pictures of the prominences like that every day.
That is so cool.
Aren't you coming up to visit again sometime over the summer there, Chris, with your, do you want to drive up to South Carolina with your solar telescope again? Because I don't want to go to Texas in the summer.
Well, I don't know. We'll have to see.
I do miss you. I do miss you, Chris.
I
I
miss
miss
you.
having Chris. Chris was a great neighbor to have, to do the projects with, and I miss that a lot.
Well, thank you so much to Karen and Rum Boston Bear was down in Texas, so he took a journey. I know Austin was up in Indiana. Didn't he go up to Indiana? I believe.
I don't know.
I think so. So yeah, we had some travelers for sure to get this awesome footage that you guys have been sharing. Did you get any of the drone? No, you couldn't.
Yeah, this is the drone right
But
here.
I mean, this is during the eclipse?
Yeah. So
Wow,
you'll see
it
at the
got
beginning.
dark.
Yeah, it got full dark. So here's the beginning, right? Where, I mean, it's just before
Yeah.
totality.
Yeah, it looks like.
And
it
then
was
you can see,
spraying
look at
like
the
crazy.
skies, all the spraying.
Wow.
And you were right. Indiana is pretty flat.
I told
Like,
you.
this is way flatter than the horizon I see when I put the drone in the air by my house. That's for sure.
And you're even in southern Indiana, right?
Yeah.
So that's not even really flat. We got to take you up to northern Indiana where it's just like crazy flat. Yeah. Yeah, that's why the first time I flew, I remember going up there and being so disappointed. Like, where's the curve?
So here it's starting to get darker now.
Wow.
It's trippy
that's
because it's like a
crazy.
sunset, a 360-degree
Yeah.
sunset, which is such a trip.
Oh,
It's
that's
like
cool.
it looks like sunset, but there's no sun on the horizon anywhere. You spin all the way around, there's no sun on the horizon.
That's
It's pretty
wild.
trippy. Right? It is wild.
Wow.
Where's the
that
sun?
is
You know, just like, yeah, it kind of messes with you there because you think about like the way people describe what you see on the sunset. Oh, it's Rayleigh scattering and all this, but is the sun even over there? You know what I mean?
Right?
Yeah,
It's where's the sun? It's so
It's just
trippy.
sunrise or sunset everywhere in every direction.
Yeah, I remember with the
Weird.
17 eclipse, we sent up the balloon, and I chose the wide angle with the fisheye lens for one of them. And I remember everybody was irritated, but what I wanted to do was to see if there was actually a umbra and penumbra, and there was only one shadow. There was not two.
Correct. I thought it was a great experiment. Karen, did you notice that it got cooler when it eclipsed? Did you feel the temperature change?
Yeah.
I don't know. With the humidity, you'd feel it less than like with the.
I mean, it was a nice day anyway. It wasn't super hot, but it did get a little bit cooler.
We noticed that it got cooler too as it got
There goes
dimmer. It definitely
there
felt
goes
cooler
the fireworks right there. Here, let me go to the
Oh, that's so
next,
cool.
to the next one here. So you'll see they start popping off fireworks.
Yeah, that is wild. How dark it got. Dang.
Everyone just starts flipping on the lights, or maybe they're automatic lights. I don't know.
They
Yeah, a
probably
lot of
come
them
on.
are auto lights.
You see the street lights on.
Mhm. That's just too wild.
There's more fireworks that come up. I don't. At some point, there's like some that happen on the right. But we could hear everybody cheering. Like there was people having eclipse parties in the neighborhood, and so like the whole time everybody's going, yeah. Woo!
Oh, very cool. Now, you know what would be wild if something like this happened, but, you know, nobody said a word that it was going to. Like if tomorrow there was another eclipse. That'd be
Oh, and they
crazy.
didn't. Nobody said
Yeah,
anything.
nobody said anything. Yeah. Let me see here.
Sent you a couple pictures in Skype.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and I remember when we were looking through this, Chris, the prominences, you could either get the solar flares like these here, or you could get things on the surface of the sun.
Yeah, and that's with the lighting. If you turn the lighting down, then you have to turn it way down to get the surface features. And then if I turn the iOS way up like I did on this, like this is almost 8,000 or 10,000 on the iOS, bring in the prominences. That's some of the biggest ones I've taking pictures of
Yeah,
it.
that's huge.
Like a little pigtail down at the bottom.
And that's through your hydrogen alpha, correct? Both of
Yeah.
these? Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, that is beautiful. Well, folks, I think that's going to do it. After the eclipse. What do you guys think? Did we learn anything new on our journeys there, Karen? Learn something new you didn't know before? Trying to think back. No, that's all
I
right,
don't
though.
know if I learned anything. It's just such a mystery, man. Every time I always have more questions than answers. I don't know if we'll ever know what's really going on there, but I don't know, man. I don't know. It's really fun to observe it though. It's fun to be in awe of it. It's fun to witness it. Like, the things that happen in our realm and in our universe. It's so impressive. Um, what is it? I don't know. Who knows?
It's making the journey itself count and the journey magical.
Right? The
It's
journey is the
yeah,
destination.
That's
yes,
right.
you did it.
All right, so let's go around the table and we'll say our goodbyes. Let's start with Chris. Chris, what do you got going on, man? What
Oh,
what has been piquing your interest lately besides the eclipse?
oh, not much. I've been just doing a lot of stuff around the yard. Got a good garden going.
Nice.
Yeah, I got so much lettuce now. I could give everybody in the 2-block radius lettuce and still have plenty. Got tomatoes, bell peppers,
Nice.
jalapenos,
Heck yeah.
dill, got Thai peppers, basil.
Just planting a little bit of everything, huh?
Yeah,
Nice.
Yeah, never too late to start gardening.
Need to make a stir fry.
yeah, that's one of my favorites, stir fry. I like making stir fry with rice noodles.
Making me hungry talking about it. Oh, by the way, Karen, I did take bounty from your house. I took all the eggs I collected.
That's cool.
I did. I said, I
got a
did
lot.
these eggs. I didn't really do, but these were the eggs. Like, yeah, the chickens did them for
That's so
me.
funny.
So yeah.
She was
So yeah, I took my
Farmer Cammy. There
Farmer
for a few
Cammy.
days.
It went so fast. I loved it so much. It was. It's so fun to go over and do that because it's like, keep in mind, I had all the magic and none of the work, none of the responsibilities, none of the anything. I just got the enjoyment of the animals and the quietude of the things without having to. I just got the best of the best. It was. Thank you. So
Thanks for watching my critters.
I love your critters. I hope your critters. I'm hoping they're adjusting and like I know that they missed Ted and missed you. They missed you, but they really missed Ted.
Yes, they all miss Ted very much.
Very, very much. And as I was feeding the kitties, your wild kitties, the liver pate stirred just perfectly, and that and it's like, oh, yes, this is why they love Ted.
So is there any chance of having a Friday morning coffee talk since we didn't have one Monday?
I don't know.
No, I'm just nudging you a little bit. I'm just joking. You do so much already.
We'll see. Maybe, maybe not. It did, it always depends on how I feel.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. So how about you, Kyle? What you got going on? Anything exciting happening?
Been having a lot of fun with my common ground debates. I just question people and just start asking questions. And if someone disagrees with me, I just ask them a more basic question. And it just kind of gets more and more basic until either someone decides to run away, change their mind, or they just deny the nose on their face. And it's just really funny to watch sometimes. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun. Been talking a lot about physics and Newton's second law and the whole claim with gravity and how Einstein claims the Earth is accelerating upwards and just how crazy that is. And I'm like, I've got some old archived footage of where Bob and I had a conversation about that. And yeah, it was just kind of really fun. So I think I'm going to implement some of that in some of the future videos here I'm going to do and integrate that in with conversations.
Nice. Cammy, tomorrow we will be on Have No Sphere, but I don't think we have a guest planned at all. I'm sure we're going to be talking Eclipse, probably just bringing up footage and whatnot. So, yeah, is there anything else?
I know that Liz and I got into a off-air, like Liz and I got in a conversation this afternoon for a long time about blood types and how misunderstood they are and how they work in reality. And also, again, just this community in general, how many RH negatives are in this community as a whole, but that was just an off topic, which again,
You're talking about this with Amanda Vollmer?
No, I was talking about this with Liz the Iron Maiden, because we were talking about Iron Realm Media. A blood type thing might be a fun one. Karen, I'd love to do blood types with 2 on the things to
yeah, that would definitely be a cool
and
show
chart
for
them
the
out.
future.
Yeah. Amanda Vollmer, the yummy doctor, she had some really interesting stuff to say on blood types. She was telling me that her blood type changed and that your blood type can do that. And there's a lot more than just like the blood types we typically hear about. And so she was talking about she had one blood type and then she had a baby and then her blood type totally changed. And yeah, it's like, I've never heard of anyone's blood type changing in their lifetime.
Well, I know I've heard of people having different blood types or different DNA in their body. Like you take it from this part of your body and then you take it from this part and it's different.
Wow.
So that's kind of wild too.
There's so much when it comes to like, human anatomy that people just don't really know about and that they're still exploring today. And yeah.
Do you know if on Amanda's her blood type changed because it does somewhat makes it to me special in giving birth in the shots they give it? Was her blood type change from negative to positive? Because that's the one that I hear that occurs. I think that's what she said. Yeah, and that happens like with the childbirth and the shots and things like that. Because if you understand really how blood types work,
okay, Cam,
and what they're measuring for, it starts to make sense. But okay, it's for another show.
Got to reel you in a little bit there. I know you
all right. And with
started
that, I'll say
talking about blood types, and
it's an interesting conversation.
It is an interesting conversation
because it's very misunderstood. Yeah, it's very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure.
On that, okay, I will mute and good night, everybody.
And me, you can find me over at Iron Realm Media tomorrow morning, 5 a.m. We're back on our original channel because we're out of YouTube jail finally.
Yay!
Yeah. Dangerous conspiracy theories. That's what we've been spreading lately. That's what they're striking all our videos.
Oh, wow.
We do 4 a week, and we get about 4 a month struck now. It's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
They call it dangerous conspiracy theories?
Dangerous conspiracy theories was the last one we got.
Wow.
I haven't got that yet.
And we had a 3-month break from that.
Jeez.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Fingers crossed. I'm not sure which one's the dangerous one, but be careful what you talk about on YouTube, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, well, thank you guys for coming and hanging out again. That was awesome. After the eclipse. I can't wait to see. I'm sure there's so much more footage out there we're going to see over the next couple of weeks and whatnot. Mm-hmm. People still putting them together and all that kind of stuff. But thank you for sharing the stuff you got there, Karen. That looks like some awesome stuff. And thank you everybody else out there that, is helping support the people to go do this kind of stuff and grab this kind of data, that it's awesome. It's community. That's what we need to. I'm not saying we're ever going to figure out what it is, but hey, the more we learn about it, the better understanding we might have one day. So let's keep
Fun
looking
fact.
up, and yeah, it's fun.
Mm-hmm.
It's good exercise. You're outside. You're not sitting here staring at the black mirrors for a little while. So anything you can do to do that, I'm all for it. So saying that, we're going to be getting out of here. Thank you all so much. Remember, be good to each other. Don't lie to each other. Open your mind because there's truth inside. Peace out, everyone.
Later.
Peace and war against NASA and YouTube and all that other stuff.